Hi guys, my name is Rani Matikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today let's talk about Senzo Meyiwa trial. Let's do a commentary on the things that were happening. Something very subtle happened in court the other day. And if you blinked, you probably missed it. If you were like, awuyibonanga ke sana, awuyibonanga, awuyizwanga. But people who pay attention, understand courtroom strategies, immediately heard that, saw that, they could not miss it. Because what happened that day was not just a normal question, it was a trap being set on the official court record. But because we have our young men there, we have nothing to worry about. Let me drink my juice. It's juice. It's juice. We have nothing to worry about, Kesana, because Ubongani Ntanzi's got this. Let me break down exactly what happened. First, Advocate Baloyi asked Bongani Ntanzi to repeat Mabena's phone number, right? Now, at first glance, that sounds like a simple administrative question, right? Now, please pay attention. But in criminal trial, nothing is ever that simple. Secret criminal trial apha asikwazi ukwenza ngathi kuno simple sana, asikho ezo zinto phaya. When a lawyer, even if that lawyer is a prosecutor, ask a witness to repeat something that is already on record, there is usually a deeper strategy behind it. And that strategy is this: lock the witness into one version of the truth. Lock. Because once a witness confirms something under oath, that statement becomes part of the official court record. Okay? And if later evidence contradicts it, that contradiction becomes powerful ammunition during cross-examination as it progresses. Okay? So when Baloyi asked Ntanzi to repeat Mabena's number, the goal may have not been, or goal may have been to fix that number permanently on record. Why? Because the next step could involve the court requesting the actual phone records, investigation files, or data extraction reports, where they are going to say, is this really Mabena's number? Baloyi can come back and say, when Bongani Ntanzi, you said the other day, Mabena's number is so 076, And now, here is Mabena's real number. From here is a statement from his family, or an affidavit from his wife, or from his mother, from his sister. Oh, bangayenza. Ubathembe when it comes to that, bangayenza. And if those records show a different number, then suddenly the witness credibility is under serious pressure, because that's what they want. This is how cases slowly begin to crack, not through dramatic moments, but through small details, details that no one expected to matter, but they matter. But that was not the only moment that caught people off guard that day, okay? Ntanzi then asked a question that many people did not anticipate. He asked, was Mjiekwa's number saved in my phone? Oh, that was a pin drop, Kesana, because tell me why the courtroom went tense. Tell me why the courtroom went tense when Ntanzi asked that simple question there. That question might sound as if it's simple, but legally, it is extremely dangerous for the prosecution. Because if investigation or investigators claim that two people were communicating, the normal expectation is that there will be digital proof. Things like a saved contact, call logs, messages, or phone extraction data. But now they claim to have call logs, messages, or they even have extraction data. But now the question that Ntanzi is asking, and the reason I'm saying it's dangerous is because Ntanzi says that phone was taken away from me on the 16th of June when I got arrested by Mabena and Mukhan. So the phone was never with me. Now, if these stupid people that were busy making calls did not save that number, that, my dear, is breathing reasonable doubt. Iyenza umhefuzo, heavily breathing, umhefuzo ka reasonable doubt. If the number was not saved in the phone, it immediately raises several uncomfortable questions. How did investigators identify the number? Did they properly verify the owner? Or did someone simply assume the connection without concrete proof? And this is where trials often start turning in unexpected directions, because criminal cases are rarely destroyed by one dramatic revelation. They are usually weakened by smaller technical inconsistencies, a wrong number, a timeline that does not quite line up. Individually, those things might seem insignificant, but together they can slowly dismantle the credibility of the entire narrative. That Untanzi had a phone, Untanzi was speaking to Mjiako, Untanzi was making, oh, please call me, Untanzi was making calls, Untanzi was sending, please call me, buzzing, whatever that nonsense is. Then there is the Mabena question. According to testimony, Mabena is allegedly the person who connected Untanzi, or who was using Untanzi's phone. It looks like it's the way things are slowly shaping in that courtroom. Anyway, in my opinion, as I'm watching, that is where things, and also they might come and say, actually, Mabena, if Ntanzi says he had Mabena's number, if they don't deny it, they might say, then it means Ntanzi was hooked up by Mabena with Mjiako. Ininzi nkosi yami into eyenzekayo phayana, ininzi guys, ininzi, and it's very messy. It's very messy. Because Ntanzi would not be there to answer questions. Sorry, Mabena would not be there to answer some questions. Did you link up Ntanzi with Mjiako? Did you communicate as an investigator with Mjiako to come and represent Ntanzi? Where exactly did the lawyer's contact information came from? I gave Mabena to answer all those questions. So once all of those things are questionable, Chile, in criminal trials, when a person becomes a killing in a chain of events, their absence from the witness stand can raise serious doubts. Legal analysts also knows about this. Even them, they know about this. But I'm not sure the driver, because if there is sometimes when there is a missing witness, that is very problematic. It's very, very problematic, because now people are starting to notice gaps like this. They began to ask questions as simple as questions of, is the full story being presented, or we are just being given things to hold on to that don't even make sense. Now, none of this means the case is over. Trials are complex, of course, especially the Senzo Meyiwa situation. Evidence can still be introduced, witnesses can still be called, Baloyi can reopen his case. But what we saw that day was something very important and very uncomfortable. Ntanzi showed that he is paying attention to every detail, no matter how small it is, but all the details, he pays attention. Numbers, contacts, phone records, I mean everything. And those details are often where the real battle in court takes place, because the strength of any criminal case depends on one thing: the integrity of the evidence chain. And Lena, it doesn't have integrity. And once that chain starts showing cracks, every piece of evidence becomes harder to trust. So while that day and other days may have looked like just another routine day in court, for those who were watching closely, something much bigger may be unfolding, but time will tell. The question now is simple. Will the prosecution be able to close those gaps? Or will these small details grow into something much bigger or much larger as the trial continues? What's going to happen? Because in courtroom, history has shown us something again and again, something that looks like it's nothing, or sometimes the smallest details are the ones that change everything in a case. So I don't know. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.